hindolino no shiwango shipuka shimashino kulambero wandumbo nokwina kulipulia konyota ongamero opuwa etero ngamero njikala nokwina kungomea umayuandali wa mulongo na etano aira mbondo yote ira mbanga ikaititame ira shawana kukwa kathira umbara wakwena Simon Kuopera iho munene wombara etu wa hamambena omaendowe umiaruke kwa imwaka pahanga ndiye erimuno ririmbo mawe ndaro wakwena masho shiendondo kulire fekeri muno kuliri opumalo kupura kombarayo wakwena gawa Kuopera kusha iho munene makarango olomburanga hinunga pino mait faru neko nganda obakwa bekotoka matupa hiatu ya kotoka mahalero Samuel matupa kotoka yeveta wa kotoka ingu iho munene mwala iho makarango ndurume sena kuthoko tulanguno mekuno mbakiro nje mpire okana keme kumbe mutoko na Kongo Yumurere kurina yo shagaino himbasha na puro makashabi fothia mena ngari ngoja makashabi mekunu bekunu kurushima yo ko yurbo nambo so okushamina ruwede to ho mena ngati onashi wachino hamkwena imbo omonda kashuro kuti ole ke kutawo ngalo na pogu ye kutaro odondundu ba hido miheke ine kuruhungi mera so umakapitio bene ngimbi akarira o bitudepe Oshito wange ushoandu beswe kushashuro shitimati yako shogati yokeku shino kuyako mikandi no kuye kutare okandeshima okaywa no bikenano kuye kutare olongalo nano opi tuni hongi ekuru ngene nemo ohungano shuro oswako munda katiti o nomba kushangai no tusoku okulaitha kushaka kati yambo kuye kunyanda uliri oswako munda ine kuru ngi omuntu ndata mumapitio nenyimbe kutulepo umwe kuza wandu wetu mbatolo kudhamuna mukulondera polupalendu hita mumebando batfale yako Kameruna ne hindo toko mbairira ngane mbairira kabena po akakotoka zachitwali ko moyo penja tu mwandu wa Kameruna kushatulwa kushakwero Ovaherero no wakwena kegiretu avesha yo mambo shiri vere shiva ukunga wero onde krona lao odamburikiro na mba dapanya romana no mba posyango kusha okuba tfale wango barondera mushirongocho hii okushana umbono zitimbutambo ngahino hamina uri humbanda asinga ino bifiki kushana mekambolo shanga ino purume tweri hongo po nandari wali utatuliri okuneno kuhepa
okuhepa rikana okuhepa. Thank you, patron, for really just taking us through a lecture of what Soccer Bond is about and what this day is about. Arigane, we are not going to really spend more time on this because we are really running behind time. So I now call on Her Worship, the Mayor of the town of Soccer Bond. She really listened in for much of this afternoon to who we are and why we are here. So please, Your Worship, the Mayor, come to the podium and welcome us to your town.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director of Proceeding. Let me stand here before you under the protocol was be established this afternoon. My name is Luisa Kativa, but not Kavita. I thank you. Director of Ceremony, esteemed traditional and community leaders, fellow citizen of Namibia, member of parliament present here, all the councillors present here, distinguished invited guests present, member of media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Mwatokerwa. Mwauhara. Ukuhepa. Kamuno kwa ngulita mjingirisa. My speech is in English to cater everybody who's here. I'm indeed an honor to have been given this opportunity to say a few remarks at this important occasion on behalf of the Swakopmund Town Council. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, culture plays an important role in each and every person's life. This kind of events are important as it is still our culture belief, especially in our young people or our children. It also helps us to celebrate who are or we are. Therefore, I wish to congratulate the group of joining together and commemorate the Ovaherero and Nama tribes. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, culture contributed to reinforce one's identity and the ability of critically reflect on the identity. The awareness of one's own identity is essential for the development and interaction with others. Thus, I'm encouraging each and every one of you to stand firm in who you are and celebrate your cultural belief. As we commemorate and remember our fallen heroes, let us honor them through our ways of life by living in recognized and unity. On my conclusion, with that said, I wish you all the success and may you all continue to celebrate your cultures. With that few remarks, before I leave the podium, I would like just to say something in Ovaherero. Chinene neango kushauri di mwa kuwa mo chirongo chetu mwadhu kuchomo mohiwa aji kwae mohiwa akapembe mochirondero chodo ndu no ngombe arikana muhe chimahama mbaulidi mbemu yakura mochihuro chanje mojodo nji wana na vehe bombadhu odombara dehe, odochifa dehe, odothromana nderi mokatiketu, ojuana chihe chicha hama mba chicha orongane munomindi nondi, mbemu yakura mochodonji. Omarapia tatu, erapiro chiferandu, erapiro chiapa, erapiro chingirine, mbemu yakura. Omanda mae minikwa, bumadu kehiro muhono ngovu watano londu ngembe muminike mbadu komboya kandoko yo nemupo make ondimo mbadu kalina omanyando oetachi wanaje yorongana chitekimbani mitiringwa lumba wachevi kana ave rolonga dona lo muronga kandu vaendere ve akochitiro chinjanja kupatira Ovaherero no vakwena ovinambi vaendere uli ya ovechimo munu kimbaha kuyeva eva ekatara mundana mbunda balu kombea chisoa yakambeverimba mbavu ketundura kayova noho tulipa mwemba cha muchango mbapira lo maningiro kuyo ku kara no manyandonga mumonda po bimbumba liye bali mbali pakatike kubano kipendero ka upupu kikwatero rukurumende osiwa mbamba hizi mumu kwena mburapo tutatu simba kaera ewa akaendu mejikulisa pali omuli wa iye kabetu wali mbe na hii wazengi hinakumumuna na waikostora odombapira jenjera hiti male ningiro maningiro ochimbumba hii anjeja hitiso omaningiriro wachiyo kucha machivangu kuningira komeya ya mondave kukano vichitwa vyao china chiviriponi ochimbumba charo embeni ombapira omaningiriro kucha vye kukano vichitwa yanjeka yahita akudhuvi kakwete wahitiso mbapira njacha matu yango ochanjaro chichimbere matu yango okuyo kunyandera mu vichitwa nti olongoda deya kanje male duko mahipeke peke ochako biroko kimeta mona nei bandu kapya hakaye nakakwiwa ni uli nangali o muto okunjimona nei kanje morero kuchwani kachikwa chikechifa kachikwa chikalikana ngandongode ko ministry ika tonongode o deputy minister of urban and rural development atuhungire kumwe echapo bimbumba biye bali ami hinokuloro hiwamo mutono hiva obimbumba biye bali hinokutono hiva pakati ko bimbumba biye bali ondu nangale chimbatono hive kupurwa hineziro ndime yanje kucho bimbumba bikaliri bali nduchi bikara bili kirira kimwe peyaji mundu umwe chenjipulana hinakuzira okucho bumbaziro kuheno kulya njero kutono hiva pakati ko bimbumba bibali kucho munane opolotika abandu abeheno hobange nambuma bedu kukumohombi yakura nambuma bedu kukunene mbiyakura ochimba kura menamba inambangu inakumeyama kujambina une o charo kambo mutu karo kumeyango kurakiza uliriko lombara mberio bando banene numbena no chiwana okurakiza uliriko kya ojiherero chiwana cyo baherero ochipikona nu chichagalio cyo kuhamika mokati hapo machika kwapi o charwe okuja ondimwa ombalu atutwamo politika na atutwamo obirarakane no bihabero ombalu china peke uli kucho chinji kuramena o politiko china peke obirarakane no bihabero no bina peke o okukupa uli ufupi mutu kimba kuyarukamba mekupo ufupi ohungano ngutukire na Namibia ehira kutukarunde na Namibia rakutukarunde rakutuka kyaro 21 ku Marta numekiwa kuchana na mbumbe kara komahiwo penje mbeli mukatike tumba eyuando chingara utokubaza uli kanje mutu abehe bahama poti hivi kanje mundu ahe machavi metarere eyuarongu tukiro kehire tu oichito chai ndinda kurama mbino ndimba oanache mbaya kwa mahiwo penje bahama poloti hivi mabetarero inambi okuja erakizarange mali chavi ohamikiro kambwa ngatuhangane kamuhoko kwa herero kapikona chika hamika hapo numakika kwapi no mambo mafupingo okuhepa
Thank you. Thank you, Worship the Mayor, for welcoming us into the town of Swakopmund. In brief, her message was about unity. It really is one that ties in very well with the message that we got from Gaup Hanse. Unity of our people. We are very few still. Of course, we know that as a people who've emerged out of that history of genocide and the rest, we remain very few, and so it is important that we stand together and we keep the unity that is necessary. So I'm going to move with speed because really still it's getting very, very cold. Some of us who are not from this area, it's really, it's getting to a point where we are shivering. So I would now call on Sima to speak to us on behalf of leader of the Nama and Ovaherero Restorative Justice Movement, Gaup Isaac, just to give us an update on events or all the developments that took place after the announcement of the joint declaration. Neimatu yako rukonva, matu ithana Sima, mahingiri ehongi, dato uthembai Gaup Isaka, guri oshiuru shokombanda mo rutupo mo viungura potuka editha pamwe shogapo na Ovaherero shitukara shitwariko murungu ngunda tunambara yeto shita BPC advocate rukoro ongwaro shiuru ongwari ngirirepo oshipotha shobiwa na biye varimbi matu shiwana wakusha PC shada nokutwetha hanjeke hiye kwa lina Gaup Isaac wakusha atu moruvethero ndi PC atu twa ushuru shumuhoko ndio ndi Professor Dr. Kashiwa moruvele ndo kwa roche pese na yo committee yopo katika ruvele ongwaro woke hiye moruvele ndo akusha nguda katia hama tutari kushaka kwa ndio matukaenda vipo sio kusha moruvele ndwi oshuru shoshipo thasha mihoka bie bari mbi Gaup Isaac akusha mahingiri wapo isima leibar tangu manja o reporter urodi dikusha moshipo thasha tu mukaenda go ahead, Sima, if you can come to.
Good. Thank you very much. Kay ayos mobutsi kubusi da jogo net kane ida ne joint declaration tikere kai hus ngas ke an iskau ka tai season ka ta dia si ais ka kause tai season ka ramonan ai net hari verslag rok tuiba masa koromanit kutu ka ta joko mai waraka se tra wata khai sita doch ni sisa ngadiko se ka huse kan kaut maha khuyao. I was given the responsibility to give a 5-minute brief presentation on behalf of Gaup Isaac. We decided to make it a very brief presentation because it is getting late and our elders are also starting to feel very cold. So I'm going to, I'm not even going to concentrate on what was prepared by Gaup Isaac, but I will just speak from the top of my head. An joint declarations ting an is kaukanki turongas ase namanti kam die technische committees te hererondi kam die technische committees turongas ase program kaki sam serial tswa. It was only after the declaration was announced in May of 2021 that for the first time that the NTLA Genocide Technical Committee and the Ovaherero Genocide Foundation worked together as a team to put together a campaign, a deliberate campaign in order to stop the signature of this initial declaration. This was the first time. In the past, each of the committees used to have more or less their own programs and would invite the one to a program that was determined by another one. No nga iran ay ngai ma technische committees wasa insti aye program ka ke ungoi tin no technische committees sa inskoro DC sanika house tu sa kira kerehin habenes ke turunga I sam se sarpitar rara ira warang si sam se besluit madita ke istara ku kaisa sam se besluit sa. After this declaration was announced, we had our first very big march to Parliament together with many other stakeholders in which we unilaterally rejected this declaration. This was a very successful event because it garnered so much support from various people, not only in Namibia but also in the international arena. Kuro hui inga dake di ke joint declarations ke an is kaut na dake something nuti kai kungas parliament dake uis nasa ke di ne parliament sti kungas ke sing amku se kaup isaki ke si amang na petisi sa na kungas na so ngaski kuro aksi inga dake usa Habe strategie nya dake uais ke nisi sadake Namibia ngaha helega kwena tai amadarane joint declaration sang harakais ngasa kaise kasa seni green abasi tidake ngaska amase verschillende aksi nage uai in kwena ngau atsotwa tai amadane khusarang harakaisa. One of our first objectives was to target the Namibian audience so that the Namibian audience can really understand why it is that we are rejecting this joint declaration. That was our very first objective, because we saw that the government was trying to pretend as if the joint declaration in itself was a weak one, but it was a declaration that could be improved given consultations. And this we rejected. Our position was that the joint declaration does not need to be improved. It needs to be taken off the table because the very principles on which it is based are flawed. That was the difference between our position and the position of government. Hanuke uai ein tauke joint declarations king nisi kaisen oro mariro itui ratafels ai rakwi si khwais ha kau tuit king nisi kaise khariro seni khara roiti ngadi king hanuba gremi insin ke warakase ke khnit mahai o khaben ke gremi kridanet ne ba khuwe khara ro no ba khui khara ro tin king ina gremi sida gremi ke khara ini khui ke a khai van beginselen ias joint declaration sa khwa ai han ngan khas king hanu tamaha hanu king madi ai hanu uwa tamaha sada am sisin khwasa sida ke ai tsmanin khwa basen sing ni khoi gong ai khwa khui ai tai etrasimi madi tsi kau sa trains ai satsa mang is kau khaisina use ne ba ngawes tu sa hi khu ke nga trains sa stop idan ni trains asa trains sidang an ma kau ngas has nga trains idang aba pan ne train ne sang ngau ai ke ma ba ini si kwa khai dang uwe ngaski ke verschil I. The second objective that we had is that we needed to internationalize the rejection of the genocide declaration. Kam I as nya da ke uwa iske ne taing amataran ne khusan harakais ngasa dage international Namibia auka for all the German audience for all Duitsland die koina dani madingong akai taing amataran ne khusan harakais disa. So that was the second leg of our of our campaign. Through this campaign, we solidified our networks in Germany, our networks in the US, our networks in the UK, in Canada, in Southern America, in Latin America, in Portugal, in many African states. We started targeting organizations that are like-minded so that we could make them understand what our position is. When the German press started writing about this joint declaration, it was as if it was a victory on the part of Germany, and we needed to make the international community know that it was not a victory on the part of Germany, but that it was actually a dismal failure on the part of Germany. Quran ko ngai kire khwai international Quran ko ngai kire khwai o ikere Deutschland ko kaise tsaisa tier praketi tsi kaise amko khuiti amabe khuiti anka ko kam iske hain khaisan ko anka tau kire mi tsi ke nisisa sadara manaka tsaron khamitui a ngadi isi kire mai so ever since iya ke hainske internationale gemeenskap wat ek nie nou akai tai amada ne joint declaration sarang hara tip Duitsland eintlik slag te maha of sukses behaald maar gabib ko Duitsland corona ni disi trede kan khap ka tung khaisa sida ne khui ma amtiti. Our third objective was to approach the different UN systems. Ngonang objectives of sisani iya take diske fefe os take ni sisani I tswa tida ke fefe os nga u Duitsland ditsi Namibia tsika waka ni bloodstel ti I sada di doma fefe os nga ha huku ngaku khastina ngwe tai amada nida unwa posisisa unwa kaisa. To this end, we started to write different submissions to different structures of the UN. This includes what they call CERT, the UN Commission for the Elimination of Discrimination, and to several UNs. And these submissions were done by a special legal team that was set up by the OGF and the NTLA Genocide Committee together with our lawyers in the US. Kenneth McKellian was one of our lead counsels in making these submissions because these are very legal documents that require legal arguments. We also had lawyers in Germany through the European Center for Constitutional and Human Rights. We had lawyers in the Society for Threatened People. We had lawyers in the UK, in London, through the Minority Rights Working Group. This international team of lawyers were actually the ones who were writing these submissions based on the arguments that we were giving them to state our position. And they turned our position into a legal position so that it could be submitted to the different UN structures. Ngabata diske UN structures ares amada genisisa internationale prokureur ka ke anader tui prokureur firmas ia da ke naders ke Amerika ngaha Kenneth McKellian hofsaak skrywer New York nga wida ngapting ke hy was die lead counsel gewees in die submissions wat ons gemaak het. Die ander lawyers wat ons gehad het is in Duitsland, hulle is gestasioneer in Duitsland in die European Center for Constitutional and Human Rights dirakaye. Ngabahun king ina nona prokureur na kimada. Tira geng maskau kan Society for Threatened People dirakaye NGOs ngas khastina da gege prokureur na kimai. UN systems of VVO systems da season kausang an ting ngaira ni di sur khafal tin ka koina wisa ngas kau kata gege Minority Rights Group International tirakai organisasi ia England dinga London nga khasna Joshua Castellino tirakai procureri par hofsak tegetan nidi so hofsak Kenya nga ke Heinz nga hofsak sina getan na itina ge nader tin kastina hua ti satsina widare digemi sada sida ge mai ne traba hokremi sida di posisi skeni di hati ti ku ken ika sida di posisi sada di posisi sa u ti nga posisi sa nga rechtskopap nga kere ngui kuni ti UN struktuur ku verskillende struktuur ku ka nga submissions that we were making to the different structures of the UN, that finally the case of the Nama and the Ovaherero people was included in the UN's special rapporteur in the UN secretary in the UN Taidang. I can only say Nam on Doni, but in the UN something. So I think the importance of this is that it is the first time that we have made consistent and persistent submissions to the UN, and that UN member states are now starting to question the German government about its conduct in present-day Namibia. Ne submission didi belangrijk heidige kurongaske, and this is post-independence. It is the first time. Kurongaske huke ngoras di etswaswasa. Namanti heronda sakora managang hua hunahu ni hunan huasa huke ni sisa sako tina eriam teni matswaswa. So that was our third strategy. Our fourth strategy was that we need to also start looking at the AU systems, at the African Union, and what human rights mechanisms are that we can use to start lobbying African countries to hold the Namibian government as a member state of the African Union accountable for its own actions. This is the fourth objective that we have been pursuing. Hakan ni objectives ni ada kronisisa pursuske apart from the UN, UN's also takenisisa Africa inis kastina kiko totova Namibia tinke Africa inis ani. Tidak gensa Afrika ti inis ma struktuur si ma mechanismen tina ngaba aha nga mechanismen ada gebreka ida Afrika tin huka mipa satu ia Afrika tin huku keni sisa Namibia ia satu di kamp ngaba ni tin tswa madit sa Namibia sa aye kwenka sang huk ngahadi ngadi ngak tina da keni sisa kurotitsa. We had representation and in Kenya, and some of the lawyers came down to Namibia in order to have initial discussions with the team from the OGF and also from the NTLA Genocide Committee. Out of this meeting, we came up with different strategies that we would like to pursue in order to make sure that Namibia accounts to other African member states. Minority Rights Group International tirakai mans ngas naida kurumis prokurir na uas ngas ke Afrika ngas China Uganda ti Kenya nga kantur na ua ti ke nga prokurir na vekepa ke hangu technische komitee ne rakha ti da ke doch ngang sa hu par strategie rona ke. Earlier in the year, I'm trying to be as brief as possible. Earlier in the year, on exactly to be exact, on the 26th of January in 2021, the German new cabinet had a press conference, and one of the things that came out of this press conference is that the spokesperson of the Foreign Office in Germany stated in that press conference that the Foreign Office is going to continue with the old strategy that the previous German government had. This really shocked us. Because I didn't report in previous discussions with the Green Party, who is now leading the Foreign Affairs Ministry in the German government. We expected that the Nama and Ovaherero people must be included in any negotiations. And this is why it shocked us that a ministry that is led by a party who made such a statement and who is now heading the foreign ministry would continue to hold the position of the old government. Januari 26 is ke Duitsland die kabinet sa press conference sa ke uai kurang man kan ke khawai sa tis ke nga press conference ma ke ami insti posisies ke oro regering in Duitsland die regering die posisies ngaskini voortgaan tis ke nog steeds Namibia ting hanu khakwini sisen already neske warakasi ke kare kaita van 2020 ingas ke Green Party tiramies. Okay, Green Party tiramies ngasa ke ami hai an naman si heron sinatafel sinu di khabeskini sisa ngadi no husa umat ma. Following this, we decided to have a concerted effort to raise awareness amongst the German public, and for that we have been holding several bi-weekly awareness raising webinars, virtual meetings that are specifically focusing on the German audience. Mas kau kan again is a bi-weekly webinar dira unga ida specific Duitsland di Queen ngana mir kamrose anong akai taing amada indi asanghanu di posisi stina rang harakaisa. So that is where we are moving forward. We will continue to hold our public awareness advocacy at all levels, whether it's in Namibia, whether it's in Germany, and whether it is on the African continent and also on the international continent. So that's where we are in terms of our advocacy work. Thank you very much.
Dankeschön. Dankeschön nene. Arikane meningiro bakwetu mbiri mundambuli mba otrupa kwao. Na arikane meningire kodo komanda do marapi. Arikane bahona. No bihako no biwambi munavyo. Tutunine do trupando. Arikane. Ya metupoka katitiuriri mkwetu simapa serikali inakuha ya ruka complain omplae podio kusha tudu yeuri twasha tuno farino don o shino shitenga uri sha twapo kusha koshikando shitenga o the committee letu de apamwe okudha onduba sane nonjo pokati ko government ade mbari shia shukisiwa o the committee letu o inji omunda abaherera minjimbina na injo yinjiro munane okombanda ko mundambo bakwe na treya pamwe shikando shitenga nuwasho shikando shitenga mena kusharukuru o committee aiha amakwiri ayunguro byungura mbya ungura po program njia ungura aina ngo committee yaro oshikando shitenga treya pamwe yokuto kuunguro lo program ando pamwe kushibinambi okura isande pango data munwa rukuru okusho shino shitenga shitwali na shorutenga hanje maturira yare kusha ontuva sane nonji jasangwa menareto njika ino shina na eteka ina kuhingira odondando detu moshiposa mbindu yetu mai hingiro binavya rondu turi dhemburu kisa kusha ompepo njahitisiwa mo parlamenta yetu mo mayobie vari na hambo umwe iyo mbara yetu shitambi yoruvedendo onganga kwa imari wako iningiro bina bitatu shinene oshino shitenga sha iningire iningire kushova ndoishi ovishitwa po ongaro njiva shita ko viwana mbi varimbi yaro shitiro shinjanja okushavetso kuyakura onjo yao moveta oshino shishavari ombepo njoponjo nyuma kuwa parliamentary motion yo genocide oshino shishavari shaita mona kusha shiwavo nokukara nokusha omundu karire weri yanjere kusha unonjo yongatukiro oveta oshitiro shinjanja okusha mundu go uno omerivirira okutuna onyene nonjaeta poku okufuta vandu mbamba arikane hapo mapeka endai omutengwa mawanga ingo mapeka endai hapo oko hepo norikane matuningire kwa kusha omarapinga etuno vandu vao arikane okusha twasha ovina vyari vitatu okuyakuronjo okufuta mihoko mbyata shinga wabumbo okuningira onjeziro okusha ovina ehungi pakati kodo noshi na hepero jaribo kusha omihoko mbimbyata ovini vitho kurihungirirapo rari edevenene rombe ponjo okusha shinetesha atuliraere po atulilemborokisa kusha onduva sane nonjima itamunwa nji oyo kai kandu vasanino yetu kaishangerwe yete katwarino rupa mokuhingirira yo twapaterwa penjo wina kudatu raisa kushetoveni tunomasa no kujene no kurihingirira patupaterwa penje wina oja sharishi mwesho wina penje na nje kushajo twasanino hii hombye wina mbya ihingire kawino shina na etemba ka utokuta muno the project na atushwa kushoga project hanjo wina mbya dopino atushwa kusho wina ndikia menaro kusha hanjo vandu isi mave patanisa kushoka veade po vandu oshina shimwe shitu vangu kuhongo vandu vetu kusha atuwo visi wembo di ndoshide vendisho vandu isi va akuronjo yao vandu isi kavea roki ya kuronjo orondo vesha oshitiro shinjanja okudhamera karandino pumapehe kusha mundungo mashaka shitiro shinjanjo ruvene mbe kudepa nono kasikumise kwete mena kusha era ko vandu isi ndive kara na rorukuru nonga emo dokoto vesha kavede pero vandu vadepo vipuka kaparino vetanja ivesha eri okutude pokusha kavena njo okusha horomendi ya Namibia amaishi wakusha obiungura bia pewa ya vyaroku okuyendo okukapa hoko oshifuta sheve uru aveta na ukawe uti huo kusha nambano wameveno maumbangorote wa mawe pahare mo bimariva opupekero vinambio the project financing ano bikwa yokusha mbama tu grow the project kama vision 2050 ovinambia no shina ujo the committee yetu deri kutire shinene pamwe okukonjiza kusha matu raero ye matu raero horomende njitwakano makaendiro pe yomba piro ndenga njitwashanga mkoto nja serikali ya yakombero yo muhamisi Ovaherero yo donjo shiwa no speaker Dr. Kashavivi okumura era kushovyungura vyewe mbyoso kuungura wa nterei pamuvyo ondu o motion na njapitiza monjonji yakahakanwa yakata naurwa iyo horomende kayunguro vina mbyetu mbitwe kura era pombi mbiso mbya ishanga vyungurwe nove konoshina shiwa shit atutwamba pira arwe no ko shiuru sheki o presidenta moma twakaenda pehimbo ngando yarwe no atutwa kombero yo mukuramene po hiro vando ishi ambassador moshomufe obyungura mbya bihisha tungura hanje bahona banje no pumuri oshingisho bombara de tuntumele mbuka puda rimba bombara ya bonahi opuya rino bombara ndandeka moshomufe ya no horo vilendo hanje nambano baranjo shitambiro vilendo hanje oburo secretary general chitwakakura no mosopa kongwe tunane ubando chatu hingire kombando chitwari kombando pondonga mambo hanje matuingire modo mbako mpumade hingiro ngarata mituo romukura mene po bando ishi oja yaroshino shishabarisho oshinasharwe omukweto sha serikali chitwa lira era kusharambano no njohoro mende njingunda apisho vinembika tunakiyakura oyo nambano ino vandu vayo yataura motupa ya hindi kotuko ndwa kukawa bisobi wanaeto kukapopa no kuchitavi aturira ere kushanohonga ino gunda atukonjizo kushaera konga ndamba tusokuka no strategy yaro yokuye ndango bimarira mbimare vanga kumavidu oputo kukonjizo kushukizo shikuposa sheto shinene moye byaro byunguro bilaste mbaraye tunjo shitambiji heri pombararu korombia ungura shinene no masa kando peke shari modo sienena no obo aljesera no ye hanje matuba ngokura ero ye kusha ontuba sana no jima ye wanjoka ino shina night kayetu kaishangiro yete na isho shimariva no eta do chete guda takatia pondodo ko ingiro shimariva imboka tuye ya uriringu ndete tulingira pogo shabie toveni oete mbumatushu wako shambia nyonu wakweto kwa mahie tuyeripi ogusha shitu yapo shitio shima tuingiro vinambi ogusha vinabi mwembitwa kwa njita jinene atuto ogusha ngozo mbapira meporisha tatu sima ndata munako mihoko mikuta saneno opi motutu peke okomiti njari nime reporter imwe njaka akurwa mako UN special rapporteur on the rights of indigenous people imwe ogusha yari imwe wabanda sana ngotu twakasha kako noho pubaka akura gusha kanje hiro wando ishira anjo reporter yaro mari ingire gushori tumbo bandu na wa karina mwano mburi tombo dongaro do undu ogusha shako veta UN ishira anjo reporter njo pepuro ocha peno mundu nguno chinachima ako ingirira ko oputwa hitisiro mashangwa yetu noho kushaka kwe hindo karina ko ingiro washiri mona mibia rishito vinda mbina ojo mundungo go special rapporteur ngono hapura tene ko vina tumbinu no tukano kusha tusokie kudirira ko vina mbitwaye chimuno kunyomoni soveni no kuno kubikura menapo undabia ku oja roshino shisha tato shinasharo no aturi pura kusha menaro kusha ngai no shinashishiri ko kondondo yoko uye uri hapo njo Afrika ini shike ojo putwa uto kulipuri okupahoma panga mu mkoto wa Afrika mwino kupitira okutaka kushashima tuingire pondondo yo AU muno vikwa yetu hakaena no mapanga yetu peke ojo mkwetu wata muna common pondondo njio uye wata muno tutu peke himna mako European Center for Human Rights and Constitutional Center no tuto tungi peke to ya ojo ambare hungindo rari na uro viungura mbili kaenda mbili po me bekambura kushovi no vingi hinakuwa kutuna kombaro ini ko mundambo Ovaherero shia noho mutu me kutuna ko shinacho shishiri shimo shosho bino bina hepero mwashiri mo makaendero yetu ko murungu ya okuje hongiuri darindo ongurame nonjopo onduva fane no pokatiko makomahya yevaringo veishitwa ko munwe wo kembo kusha mutu ko mbunda matukatieke na akuungurirwa mutu menaro viungura bitwa ungura ambara na ikatu yiku shairipi mo parlamenta yao vananunu nao popa hewa kusha vyango kuobisa kusha ondoa fane no kaina umba uringa hinunga petu moshi mariva ponga ikapatendwe ete takura mohoro uri itu shondoa fane no kaino shina na ete katia po shimariva oyo kampu vasane no yakangamwa ete katuno shina na yoka paroka de matuvanga okuyapo shitiha indimbia londo yo bakwetu mbiba dikabe ningirisa namba makonga hino oruihirwa ningirire weza ko mea no po weza ko maihiurie imbia twashafara katuna kujia kaparuka deuri ojo puturimbo yeah, so that in brief was the update on development since the announcement of the joint declaration delivered by Sima on behalf of Kaub Isaac. Next, I will call on the address by Kaub Cooper. I'm sorry, there was an interlude that was planned to come before Kaub Cooper, but because we are really running behind time, I now call on Kaub Cooper to address us. And colleagues, please, the program is still running. Please. Arikane vandumberi mundambwini arikane konjife kuhama arikane vaona vanji konjife kuhama. Of course, as GALP approaches, I'm sure the brass band would probably want to give us an item. Can we all rise? GALP Cooper is going to address us. Matu puratene ku GALP Cooper o shuru. So can we please rise just to salute Kaub Cooper and yeah, Kaub.
Thank you. You may be seated, my dear friend. Nori, Monkarugia. Before I start with the task I have been called upon, please allow me to start this way. I think this is the proper time for me to give a little word of welcome and also congratulations to my friend, to my leader, to all of us, Professor and Dr. Paramount Chief Mukinde Kachua, a word of welcome for being elected as the Paramount Chief of the Ovaherero people. We welcome you on behalf of the Nama Traditional Leaders Association, also in this fight against the Germans for the genocide they have committed against our people. You see, I stand here as one who also started in this fight with many and some of these great leaders that we see on these pictures, like Chief David Kubek, Kahma Kubek, PC Riruako, Guayma Riruako, Chief Koichi, and then Rekui Rukoro. These are the leaders with whom I was together when we seriously, and I say seriously, started with this war of genocide. Today, when I look at that list, I see that it is only me that is now left. And you came and joined us now and joined me. I was feeling alone when all of them left me and left us. But when I saw that PC was elected as the new leader from the side of the Ovaherero people, I felt so great. But on a very lighter note, my PC, don't take it very seriously what I'm going to say now. I don't know how long you will be on this list. When I see on that list, all of them are not there, but I am still there. Which means I cannot go before this fight is over. Corona has tried and tried and tried to take me also along. But I said no. We are still busy with a big mission, and that is the genocide issue. And as long as I am not over, I am not going to follow the others that went and crossed the great divide. This is what I told Corona, and Corona is also now gone. Because I am not only a traditional leader, I am also a pastor. And one of the jobs of the pastor is to bury people. So I am the burier, and not one that is going to die, must bury all of them. I don't know who is now next on the list between the two of us. I don't know. Second thing that I want also to tell my people is, it's not a story, but I have come to Swakopmund and I've listened to the history of Swakopmund now, and I am so grateful that I really did not miss this opportunity, and that I today listened and heard to what was said about why we are coming to Swakopmund annually. Now this time I decided that I do not leave children behind. So these children that are playing now, those trumpets, are my children. They came with me. I am training them every day. I am training them how to play music. And now they are giving us that sound today. But one thing that I want to appeal to you is, these people, children, do not have a place to sleep. Where are they going to? Yesterday night they slept in a bus, and today I did not have time to go around and look for a place for them to sleep. So, do something about that, please. They are giving us a very, very important music and things today. Now, coming back to the issue I have been called upon, my dear people, dear ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all protocol has been observed, and greet you in the name of the scattered bones of our fallen heroes and heroines, and in the name of our Heavenly Father. On the 18th of March 2022, I made a call on the Nama Nation to tie their shoes and shoelaces and rise in order to attend this gathering that we have today. In that address, I made reference to Job 12, verse 22, which states as follows: He revealed deep things of darkness and brings utter darkness to light. I also stated in that call for action that I shall address the Nama and Ovaherero nations further on the matter on this occasion. I am here today and reiterate that peace is disturbed by any action that activates sadness, anger, or fear and isolation. The skeletons of our forebears are scattered all over the world in museums, universities, and unknown graves. And yet, those who seek funding for the Harambee projects in the name of the genocide victims have failed to even mention the dignified return and burial of the skeletons of our ancestors in their so-called joint declaration. Today, as I walk through the unknown cemetery of Nama and Ovaherero genocide victims, I recalled the recent elite private celebration for political independence and realized that this extravagant celebration was held next to the graves of our fathers who fought for this country. It also struck me that no mention of their heroic resistance against the Imperial German Reich was made. Why? Because they want to continue silencing these skeletons and wish us into oblivion. This extravagant party is reminiscent of the German settler, administrator, and soldier celebrations and balloon and also ballroom dances frequently held at Polmanskop during 1904 to 1908, while Nama and Ovaherero were starving on the Shark Island concentration camp. Today, the Namibian government is actively promoting tourism on Shark Island, thereby continuing to trample upon the skeletons of our forefathers. A similar scene played itself out at the Namibian independence celebrations in 2022. This time, at the Swakopmund extravagant party, the community was silenced with whatever was left over from the crumbs of the elite table. The actions of the Namibian government, and I repeat again, the actions of the Namibian government are not only shocking, but activates so much sadness and ego, and we cannot praise whilst the situation is so abnormal. To add insult to injury, we have learned recently that the Minister of Environment and Tourism, Mr. Pohamba Shifeta, has unilaterally awarded a concession to Sky Eye Tours and Hospitality in order to introduce tourism development that will give monopoly over a national asset to a private company. I want to remind the Namibian nation that the Namib No-Close Park, which is today considered a national asset, was actually forcefully taken from the Nama people in 1907 and declared a park after our parents were driven like animals to Shark Island and Swakopmund concentration camps. Oh yes, we remember how we lost the land on which the Namib No-Clove Park is situated. It was the great Namakwa land, which today has become Namibia's gem, to be toyed with by politicians who seem to play a gambling chessboard game. These unwarranted disturbances are threatening our peaceful coexistence as a Namibian nation. May I remind the Namibian nation, and in particular the Namibian government, that the construction and handling of critical government infrastructure were built on land stolen from the Nama and Ovaherero people by the Nama and Ovaherero prisoners from the concentration camps. These include the railways, which we use today as Trans-Namib. It further includes the parliamentary and many government administrative buildings in which the high and mighty parliamentarians and public servants sit, treating us as if they are doing us a favor when we deem accountability and transparency. The ending of unnecessary insults is an imperative to safeguard against disturbances of peace. I want to remind us all that the native reserves were primarily established as an extension of the concentration camps and was therefore a continuation of forced cheap labor. These native reserves are totally today called communal land, but ever since its establishment, these native reserves never served the well-being of the indigenous people. Any genocide apology and reparations negotiations must be explicit on the abolishment of native reserves. The so-called land reform program, which refuses to acknowledge and act on historic dispossession, shall remain useless. It will remain useless. Despite the genocide descendants' unequivocal rejection of the so-called joint declaration, there are evil thoughts to protect and continue with the document against the will of the affected communities. We are loud and clear on free, prior and informed consent regarding genocide negotiations. NTLA and OTA's rights to self-determination and participation shall remain intact at all times. It will never change. In our language, Namakobab, the term pirichum is used when someone negotiates with consent on your behalf. Our customary law are very much open and clear on this, and pirichum is considered as a crime. We therefore urge the Namibian government to stop pirichuming with its criminal activity of negotiating for us without our consent. There is absolutely nothing in the joint declaration. Yes, I say, there is nothing, absolutely nothing in the joint declaration that can be cherished. There's nothing. Both the German and Namibian governments must accept this reality and return to the drawing board. The ignorance and arrogance of the Namibian government is counterproductive. Peace is the most fundamental asset to community building of our nation, this young nation. We are fully aware of the continued and consistent efforts to divide the affected communities. And the affected communities are the Namas and the Hereros. We observe all these things with an eagle's eye. With an eagle's eye, the political environment in Namibia. Do not think because we as Nama leaders are quiet means that we do not observe. Moenie dink ons sien nie en ons observeer nie. Moenie dink ons gee nie om nie. Nee, ons analyseer alles. En ons ontleed alles. En ons weet wat gaan aan vir wat. Ons is maar net stil. Dit moet die Namibiese government onthou. Please be reminded that our people defeated those colonial policies and laws. Ons het hulle gewen. And we are not afraid to destroy such dangerous minds of dividing us. No. Although not occupying the same space at the same time with the same action, all affected communities' unequivocal rejection of the joint declaration in unison demonstrates the willpower of our people. Let it be clear that we will not be divided. And therefore I am appealing to the Nama and the Herero nations to join hands so that we will not be divided by cheap politics, not be divided by lies. Our eyes are now open and no threat of telling the international world about things that are really not in place will never succeed. It will never succeed. All things done in the dark, all things done in the dark shall come into light. Everything will come to light, especially when peace is disturbed. So when peace is disturbed, don't point finger to us. It's those who are dividing the people that will disturb the peace in this country. It's disturbed by actions that activate sadness. It will be done by people that are also giving and are anger and bring bitterness to the people. May the grace of Jesus Christ be with all of you. And may we remain united. And may we remain firmly and resolve the celebration of brutally murdered victims of genocide who call on us to rise without fear. Tatohwa Oma Kwikini, Oma Kwikini, Mumu Kuitangiri, Kalikan Adunima Kwikairi. Humika owning Kweva Miba, who started Kwekaire. Tell the truth. Don't act like cowards. Let us stand on our point and let us keep the truth and stand with the truth. And let us rise with hope. Let us rise with determination. Because we, the Nama and the Ovaherero people, are unstoppable. Nobody will stop us. Nobody will really stop us. We are unstoppable. And therefore, let us rise, let us join hands, and let us go forward. Let us fight that was started by our leaders not become in vain. Yes, may I thank you for coming in great numbers to this occasion, and let us keep the torch burning. Let us rise, let us rise, and let us rise. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
Yo, that was really powerful. That was powerful. It's a living legend. It's a towering figure of our movement. Gaup Cooper. Very, very powerful. And I think a perfect introduction to the next session. That was really very, very, very powerful. We may all be seated now. It reminded us of why we are here and why these two communities could not even be defeated by a European power. Yes, we are getting the Ombimbi group ready. We have to get the Ombimbi group ready. But while we are doing that, that was really a perfect introduction. Group to get ready. We introduce PC Kashiwa to those who do not know him. Just briefly his bio, and then of course the cultural items will come as he will be walking to the podium. But my task really, it's a simple one. Just to introduce the PC, Professor Dr. Mushinde Kashiwa. He grew up in Machete. Unje rikane, unje bahona, matu muithana rikane ombaro yoshiwa no yenu, matu muithana tutwese tuungure mbie vetu mungure po vyenu. Rikane ape kano vandumba, amuhe kamwishi, unda mukaenda urite, napuye rikane. Ikakavende undavekuda avela pora mintro kusamba vea. Ogendra fet mashallah yaka koma isani wano ko mudabo mbibi arikane shibomba shombimbi gasida popo poti yema gasiga kokure arikane ngode amala mamu isane wa ombaro yenu arikane bahona. Professor Mushinde Kashiwa grew up in a Machete communal area at the village of Obongaka, where the family still lives, here in the Rongo region. As a village boy, he grew up herding goats, and as he would fondly tell us, the last time he herded goats was in 1992, and right after he had graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree, and so probably the most educated goat herder at the time. He was the NANSO, the Namibian National Students Organization. He was the chairperson at Augustinium Secondary School. That's where he graduated, from high school. He was also NANSO secretary for the Central Region of Namibia, under which schools like Dobra, Okahanja, these were the schools. That was between 1986 and 1988. He then was SWANU's youth secretary. Swanu Youth League secretary between 1989 and 1988 to 1991. In 1994, he graduated with a diploma in environmental management from the Australian National University. In 1996, he graduated with a Master's of Applied Science in Natural Resources that was 96, from the same Australian university. He earned his PhD or doctoral degree from the University of Stellenbosch in conservation ecology in 2005. He's a commercial farmer on the communal land in Oshinene, meaning he's not the traditional type of farmers that we have. He's a farmer who runs a serious business, even though it's on a communal land in a Oshinene area. He has been a lecturer or a university teacher for at least 25 years. Between 1996 and 2022, he's still a lecturer at the University of Science and Technology, NUST. He has also taught at the University of Namibia. He joined the Ovaherero Traditional Authority, that is the leadership level. Of course, OTA is what he was born in. He was born into that, but formally as a leader, he joined the think tank in 2015, the think tank of the late Paramount Chief Advocate Rukoro. He joined that think tank in 2015, and then in 2016 he became the Deputy Secretary General, and thereafter in 2017 he was elevated to the position of Secretary General, a position he held until the election to the Paramount Chieftaincy. As SG, amongst the many accomplishments, he led the conceptualization and design of work programs around matters of land reform, genocide lawsuits, and various. He's also led various engagements with government agencies and sister traditional authorities such as the NTLA and many others. He was the last Paramount Chief, the late Advocate Rukoro. He was his right-hand man until the untimely death of the late Rukoro. And at the time of that death, as led by many chiefs, he with many chiefs, of course we know the context or the time when Rukoro passed on. It was a time of COVID. Windhoek was under lockdown, and the Delta variant was really on steroids. It was running all of society amok. And so PC Kashiwa, and at the time then only SG, he led the transitional committee as the chairperson, the 7-member transitional committee, which was a committee of the Chief Council to hold and to lead the business of the PC in the interim during that very difficult time. He was the chairperson of that committee. And in that role, he became the deputy leader of the restorative justice movement, deputizing Galb Isaac. On the 5th of March this year, in the Wide Rock settlement of Onderambapa in Aminus, PC Kashiwa was elected as the 7th substantive leader of our people, both in Namibia and the diaspora, and everywhere else. Everywhere you find Hereros, he is the PC of all of those people. And he is married to Omwaranguri Kashiwa. They have 3 children together, 2 boys, 2 gentlemen. They're not really boys anymore. 2 gentlemen and a lady, I must say. So in brief, that is the bio of PC Kashiwa. That's the part for other people. Now let me go to the traditional part. So this part I'll hand over to you, Katambo, just to facilitate this one.
Yeah, Matwithane
Arigane ufupi ulirio mambo. I don't think we need to translate this.
Okuhepa rare kuruhungi po ongaendero yombaro chitambi jaha kutoroko murumendo mukwetumba mara katuno kienda ngoma tumunuki rwetwetha matungura kushato tuyetombara ikane hungira yoro ronguroba matu ithano shimbumba shombimbi alikane ngashiyemba nondoro ombimbi nondoro
no arikane meshi wako shatfa unjorure opisi shiabo nokiye kuhingira okusha onguroba ya mene okianda pothia kushanguda ihianda matiye kupatwa iyo munene meroro itamunwa meroro meku ya njembo ndi kuthemboro ndangi okusha arikane pisi shiabo nokuhingira atupithuka unje hugidu no
Ogo eparia me popelo mbako yi moringi tunayo nji uliri nji aru ya koka.
Obitana mbano byagire njete akulomwa shiwa mangani waka mumbaruka shiwa ngombe amari ombonde obita yetu mulando murumendu omukona mazuno kuchango munene mulando murumendu mwaka kagoko kamukuro ule iya rumuna ngombe akandotu ngombe hiri muyo hongoro hiri muyo bito hitanda shitumbo sha chite utanda moko injongu no mosho akagoko kamukuro uye wa mangani wako utema wa injongu no injo mosho akashwa otumuro macho mangani wakamumbaru kashiwa ngombe amari ngombonde injongu no ondamboro ngombe nashikange shonjombe ya munduba kaungira kundumane ngombe ya mbango injongu no wakangundumba tiro ihuri na nyoko okamwe
berimbena ndar kombo macho mbe kadal dongoro ngoja njoguno mukauti mukahonde mukachonguta ngoro myarongwe ona mono guli ngoro ono kunyanje omudwana kawinde behere berimbena makako kachongu kachiri aunguri nabatu kero saga buku namba buku nyongo deu nguluna muturi mufari mudwan para kana mukandi muturi madugara Bibi, wachiro ngera Ovaherero. Itabere kukaruchi apora mimbo. Omukanari ko. Omamuna machiro ngera sababu bakombe. Mumenge yo baba puka mimbo. Itabere. Kama kumachawana. Ehia kama kama endo. Kunaia we.
Ya, arikane hukimari ko bompude. Hame tian jorubede komasho amangani. Hame arikane matushwa kusha munodonga mashinene numwa unjoruri. Okwe pashinene.
This picture, this videos. I can't even record it. 3 minutes.
Let me greet my colleagues, Gov PSM Cooper, Gov Johannes Isaac, Gov Hanse, my chiefs here, chairperson of the Chiefs Council, Chief Shunje of Aminus, Deputy Chairperson of the Chiefs Council, Chief Kapukare, and all the chiefs here with me. I shall also my greetings to the worship, the Mayor, Kativa, if she's still around, all protocol observed. I would not take much time because it's getting late. I also don't want to start the fight that Gov Cooper has started, that he will outlive me. The last time that fight was fought was way back in the 1860s between Jonger Afrikaner and Ovaherero, and Jonger Afrikaner lost the fight. So I wish that before we start that fight, we have reparation paid to us. I'm also humbled today to stand here on the shoulders of big giants that preceded the Ovaherero leadership, way back from Ovaherero Kashamwaha, Samuel Ovaherero, Kutako, who started the Republican style of the Herero leadership, back to Kapuo, Kaimariwako, the Kuirukoro, and myself. That the Herero leadership has shown resilience over time, that it has and therefore has survived a lot of turbulence. With and within 48 hours of Kutako's death, Kapuo was appointed and finalized as the paramount chief of the Ovahereros in 1970. I also say I stand on the shoulders of the likes of Gaup, Friedrich, and Gaup, Cooper, Gaup Afrikaner, all those who have started the struggle for genocide and reparation. The achievements of the Hereros and Namas over the years have come by no means a simple matter, but has been a monumental achievement over the years because of the bravery that PSM Cooper has referred to. We have fought wars, we survived those wars. We have gone through genocide, we have survived. We have gone through droughts, we have survived. We are a resilient and self-sufficient nation. We are also very selfless. Our sacrifice speaks volume. That in times of difficulties, in times of challenge, we are willing to offer ourselves, to sacrifice ourselves for the greater good of our people. Today, we have paid homage, and we pay homage to our fallen heroes and heroines, men, women, and children who died at the hands of the brutal, bloodthirsty, and heartless German imperialist government. It is deplorable that the historic burial sites of our fallen heroes and heroines remain in a condition that it has been left by killers of our people more than 115 years ago. Successive German governments continue to invest in the German-speaking communities in Namibia, in the artifacts of their brutal, racist, and colonial history, while working in cahoots with successive Namibian governments to see the Namas and Herero people more marginalized and impoverished. I continue to be shocked by the level of insensitivity of Germans living in Namibia. They are the beneficiaries of our genocide. Their wealth is built on our slave labor. Their daily lives in Namibia is sustained by our poverty, yet they have the audacity to tell us that they bought the lands. Germans in Namibia. On 17th March 2017, the late Paramount Chief Mkwiru Koro led a delegation to meet a group of settler Germans on our land at Okolongominya. The discussions were friendly. We were seeking to convince Mr. Schneider and his team to come to their senses, that they too have a role to play to see that one day our children live in harmony together as citizens of Namibia. By positively playing a role in the campaign for reparation, but to date, Schneider remains ignorant to the fact that they sit on our land. In March 2018, here in Swakopmund, at that international conference we had, I met Professor Toto Meyer, who and other Germans at the time were setting up what they referred to as a forum for German-speaking Namibians. He and others promised to meet our leaders in the Ovaherero, the Regional Authority, and NTLA, but nothing to date has happened. Just an empty lie. In August 2021, a certain Hecht, reported to be a chairman of a newly formed forum for German-speaking Namibians. He invited us and his team, as his team wanted to know how they can get involved in the reparation discussions or movement. The OGF patron, Mitri Munjwa, and his team, of which I was a member, briefed the German team thoroughly Again, the discussions were friendly, and we concluded that following their best merit, they will return to us and report and further engage us as to how they can play a role in seeking or assisting in a cause for reparation. But as I'm talking to you, they have gone quiet after some discussions they had with the Namibian government, and we have seen them last week with some chiefs, mostly chiefs who are befriends to government or who are toeing the government line as these Germans are trying to seek maybe comfort in the Namibian government and those who support the exclusion of Hereros and Namas in the negotiations. The Hereros and Namas have a shared history and a shared future. It was mentioned that history has started way back in 1858, and it was reaffirmed on 12 June last year when we visited Wagenas and resulted in the Wagenas Declaration. Our efforts through that declaration is to build stronger governance and institutional capacities in our communities, to make our livelihoods more resilient, create wealth and retain wealth within our communities. We seek to cooperate in cultural ties or in culture. We also continue the strong bonds we have created in our fights for reparation. In our last Senate meeting, the Ovaherero Senate also made that commitment to continue work closely with the Namas to fight for reparation. And of course, as I have always said, the Namibian government is our key stakeholder. We seek to get the Namibian governments to the table to work together with us. I will continue. The last few weeks, you have seen a lot of noise in the Herero communities, but the Herero Training Authority have shown that it's a robust authority run through a robust governance system. For any governance system to be strong and endurance, those decisions that we make has proven to be sustained over time. In the recent noise run by one of our chiefs in cahoots with government has come to nothing, because our Chiefs Council is stuck to its collective decision-making process. The Senate unanimously appointed me as the 7th Paramount Chief of the Ovaherero. Has it not been for the Chiefs Council and Senate that elected Paramount Chief Clemens Kapo within 48 hours of Kutako's death, the Ovaherero leadership would have gone to the hands of stooges who were supported by the apartheid South African government. By that, I also want to illustrate that conditions at any time defines when the Chiefs Council make a decision. The same way that we have made a decision in 1916, 1917 to elect Chief Kutako as an acting Paramount Chief. We have done the same last year to appoint a transitional committee at the time that our people were under stringent lockdown conditions. It was this transitional committee that has carried the traditional authority until the Chiefs Council was convened in early December, which then resulted in a Senate meeting March this year. As I go through this list of my short presentation, I'm highlighting the key areas that we as an authority will concentrate on. It is our governance system and also our livelihoods and wealth creation. We will work hard, as also illustrating the Wagenas Declaration, we will work hard to ensure that our livelihoods are improved. We encourage diversification of agriculture, agro-processing, and also shared benefit sharing within the mining sector or from the mining sector that is in our regions. It is no use that a mine is developed in Wahanas and Wahanas people do not benefit. Therefore, the Namas and the Hereros as communities, we must stand together and demand that any mining in our regions must result in benefits to our communities. In line with the Wahanas declaration and also in line with our strategic plan of the Ovaherero Traditional Authority, our focus is on education, training, culture and arts as a third pillar of our strategic plan. It is our common goal to see that our people receive the necessary education and vocational training required to create self-employment. We call upon our government to be responsive, to create regional colleges of vocational training that are not fit for all purposes, but mainly that are not based on one-size-fits-all approach, but that are contextual to the regional differences of our country. The NTLA and OTA are willing to cooperate with government in those sectors. Our fourth pillar is restorative justice. Gab Cooper said that in a lot of words. SIMA has also reported on the activities that were being carried out ever since, more so following the joint declaration. But I also want to point to you that already in April last year, the Traditional Authority, together with NTLA, is continuing to explore ways to take either the Namibian government or the German government to any international court or local court to see justice seen in the restorative justice case. So we'll continue to strengthen the relationship that we have created with the minority rights groups. As was mentioned, maybe sometime this year we may go to the African Human Rights Commission to present our case. We will also see to visit either Germany and UK to present our case to the NGOs and to those governments. We are very happy for the assistance that we've been receiving in terms of legal advice from the European Center for Human and Constitutional Rights, the minority rights groups, and the Mecalian law firm. So we are hopeful, and we shall continue to, I think in the near future, we'll report on progress on the restorative justice front. We are, however, disappointed to this date, as was mentioned, by our own government. Our government has done very little to ensure that we sit at the table. It was arrogant. It has always told us it is an elected government, democratically elected, therefore it does not need to include us in the negotiations. But our strong resistance last year has shown that the Namibian government will not go further with that road. It will not succeed. Therefore, it has not passed the genocide joint declaration. Sorry, the joint declaration in Parliament. It is now put on ice for rethinking, and we are calling on our government and the German government to involve us and start this process afresh, because it will not proceed without us. It is the same. I know the German government has forgotten its relationship with Israel and how it has negotiated the reparations for the Holocaust. Because in its papers it says it does not know how to proceed. That's the argument it has. But we want to call on Chancellor Olaf Scholz that he should follow the example by Konrad Adenauer in 1950s and call a broad-based, or at least be willing to engage in a broad-based negotiations with the victims of genocide, where our Namibian government will be a participant or an interested party, as in line with the 2006 National Assembly resolution. I want to take also this opportunity that it's been now the 32nd year of independence. Very little has been done in terms of memorializing the genocides of the Namas and Ovahereros. I know the president is working hard to see that the heritage site that he has declared for the Hosea homestead as a national heritage, and those developments are in full swing, taking place at the moment. And we hope that will be completed as a first sign that at least in the term of the administration of President Hake, something has been done. But we are hoping that future presidents of Namibia will rethink their attitude, will rethink their actions, that in 32 years, only one little thing has been done for the Hereros and nothing for the Namas, nothing for the genocides all over the place. It is actually shameful that the Namibian government, through successive Namibian governments, have not visited any sites that was where the declaration, the extermination orders were declared. They have not visited any site that was used as a concentration camp. That is deplorable. We hope next year when we come around, the president will join us. As for the Germans living in Namibia, the OTA and NTLA has tried all efforts 3 times now to engage local Germans. All those times have come to nothing. But I want to tell the Germans living in Namibia that you are either Namibians, in which case the future of your children and that of our children are joined, and therefore you have an obligation to play a role in ensuring that our children has a peace and a safe future. If you are not Namibians, as in most cases, those Germans must go back to Germany and leave our land. Because we know that is what we told Schneider 4 years ago, now 5 years ago, that we want to cooperate, we want to work together. That is what we told the Germans last year. Yes. But they seem to seek comfort in the Namibian government and their own German government. Therefore, they have no interest in the future of Namibians. To the German government, it is time to start afresh with direct negotiations with the victims in line with the modus operandi of the Jewish Claims Conference with the descendants of the genocide. To the Namibian governments, we are partners, and as partners we can build a prosperous Namibia together. And if you continue to exclude us, to marginalize us, you are creating instability. We are appreciative to the governments of Botswana, South Africa, that has hosted the Namas and the Hereros over the last 115 years in those respective countries. We are also appreciative to the good relations we have with the Botswana government. Every time we visit Botswana, the government receives us. The Ministry of Education is there. The Vice President is there. We have never received that relationship, or at least that gesture, from our own government. We hope that will improve. To the rank and file of the OTA and MTLA, the fight shall continue. I think that in short is what I wanted to tell you or to inform you, but a lot is happening, and in 2 months we shall come back to report you. Thank you. Oh, makuhiteka titi mochihirera. Yeah. Magati mama na.
Nolomboro.
O superiori. Ba wokusha no meri sufari zongai ni amo ningantu bakura ma covid peo longia ma dauto mhokombwi mo hona para mana neno Ovaherero werira isa kusho hona pare kuno meri nani no oma pame okudamo matolero ryombara kutako umburanyo 1970 na oshitwa uto kukara no lombarande tororwa kunda kutako hiata akuno mburo murongo omugondiro ye obona pare wamuna kusha ngave kara pondende kutako shatu abehina mwana bugatunu mape heri moma keova nyondorore kopalo kutu utakopalo kuurika pamwe no chief councillor ombara muturunge kapuo osombara okehi mo 1960 baraka riwa utakoshata kehi odoiro mirongo bibiri na hapo ndatu anje kapuo aro ndoko chihaviro osombara shitapi mewa ko kuraitha kushawina o maunguru yetu kono mahuna para wakwena ya utarukuru para isso aí o bara coopera no yeno omide omidipa mi kumero ndelewina kwa jako murungu pamu o dino ndifasha neka tukao lino kai hakani baba ngokura ithakusha ete tokana no ngojero peke kwa ngokungura kumeko no bantu ishi bihu piramidi kuwa mo 2017 na hitwa yako kurongo minya hitwa kaka kaina no shimbuga jari na Schneider ashi alizombe pomba asisha mashingura kwe naete amaji amashi konjo kujanoho chikaye no rupa muzala shitiro shinjanja kundi nondi bakamwina Schneider ngushe hibaranda kubeshi omburanyo murono hambo ndatu akaina no professor Toto Maya mo conference njitwa limuno mwi chabesha mabe utoshimbuba cyo bahungiro shindo ishi mehindi nmabe ukano rupo rupame obina bitiro injanja umuranja lukomwe lo chambo ndatu baka ina nshimbuba cyo wando ishi chiara shina mayumba ngwa ko hekta kwa itane ne mitiri munjwa petro no shitiro injanja mipumba ino rupa amabe ako kusho lingo ngano shitiro injanja atuve pe shauti yapi chakanda pi tulipi Alisa mabe kahamo pogaro yao ni ninaye kutoka kwete o kuiririra omba bahame ne peno bakwetu shigesha lukomba pamwe no hakahama peno horomende o chimo taraba uto kupa ho bimbumbi katiti beawa mako horomende ana nimbia alile muatara okusha kuo oshobadepe Mwa kwera era kusha ehire tundi katuna kuya njera kusha ve ka enenya nyonda sana mbo naye ko kuliko tramo muhunga o oriaberwana shetu oro arume kana kulirwa banga kula iso fupi kusha mo ino ningi bitu kawanja pamwe no wakwena yakura mena kolongunde indawa wakanasa na wina longunde ndunge yetu shuhuna pare kumatwi Oyumba hingiro binari tano. Oshinoshisha ositenga shari omana ni nuhona pare gero omandikami. Andau kaudhikami omana nuhona pare. Andako binambishi kwa yombara yetu kapuo. Betupa jari thomuhunga. Kofio kusha. Matupuko orushanja. Ara pero ura bajona. Amana matupukiro. Muta kutoka koshwa. O kanoke shabari mundu okesha tatu mundu kumwango kuraitha. Yoke shabari. Okana kokusha. Oina maitu bukitha mshini ni wanjara. Okusha katukonjo kunguria ke huporetu. Katungure otuta, katuwezo ndengo ko otuta, katungure ibyarwe noho. Oze okusha noho. Kamusero ukaro bina himuno domini mutukondwa tetu. Atu hakara norupa pa habieto njamu kweto ngarate. Okula mundino ndi kapeno hon pare wetu ngafoki anja poki anjera o andumba oe piela okusaino mbapira kwena wo poki kutungo binamo dole ferati okuhina ku kieta ko hona pare. So I think from today nothing really should happen in our areas in terms of new EPLs being allocated, any construction, whether it's roads or whether it's hospitals or whether it's service stations, you may name it. All these things must happen with the approval of our authorities. And we must make sure that we derive the benefits from it as the authorities in our areas. Baru kira mina bashigiri kama mirausha kwa kwetu namba mbawela na mambo ojinoshi atatuma hongero hona tungatwamo mbango jaye ni mama hongero ana shetu teweni ngatuli hongo kulefa katunguli songo embi tusho ngura biwina oru yabede mo technology no bidi hongero okanoke shaine kumba hongire wina no kutune tambo kwa mekukutu na wakwena Tuma tuisele kwa declaration ya wakanasa. Oshina shishitiro shijano shifu tasasho. Matunguro uderu. Matunguro pami. Oshitu tewari mamashia. Oyihungiro mbika wanjapo. Ukautu kumu na uzo horomene. Wadida utokutana ukulipura ushambaya tuangura nabi. Ayo machialu kombuta. Tunolongo njiro. Ukondono na matuka hititiro jipo hawine. Matuka toka moruedo lufupi. Omelo bifupi mshinao chatulipi kamoke chatano basha horomende yetu ikumu ruruparo imbumba bitu afoki anje bitu afoku ngura kumwe nayo bino horomende yetu imara mbingu ithetu all takes letu obusha moderi kusha horomende yetu mai kara no rukuru wa omangure mawape na ete tumuna kusha ituhumba Ukiona tumonda ingiko horomende simuno bashawana South Africa natiro bantu betu kinene ni hirasha wana beti yakura naro heshitwa ingwe miti yakura no make kama okutu hindiro bana nele hindo uno minister no vice president na yena kwa shinazo mtu myango kuyambimane basha sina mimane omundu mosha ndau chino mburaka ne mirongo bitatu na mbali amuhi ashito shino shitemba kutemburuka Ovaherero no kwenda kona kumaudhu kama katibu kashito president na Namibia okutunga mpidia hofea bili mumanguliro mawai kanja ko bayimunika na wina odero jatu kana rupa okuingulisa pupeta oshobeni mtoto benendo uve kujomboro mirongo itatu tarehe na mbalinda kakuno bina mbashitwa nilaro shitiro shinjanje ehiro bakwena iri Ovaherero obuma nushiri buja olo njenda buja horomende yetu kayarora kuya posholo njimba purungora kachombondi opo mopolombo matulu kenda polombo bidi ba paitano era kasho era shitiro shinjanja na parko go goren kransa paitano nando bakwena modelo jombura ima yendo horomende tupo ishitwa mi maikara matu inanga modelo ya maikara singa ko kumana basha muno wando ishi behu pa mehire tundi behero obatule behindi wando wando ishi na beno obo passport ambali ale heuriji ongaro yao yokura ifa kumanye ngume hindi no kuhina kutumuna ahi no rubede roho keruka ko yao beife hiretu tukamroba yetu nacho chachibingiriro chachitiro sintenda basi tukutaka Mungu mshare basha mno mangu yetu mtu na wapeno wapena mwanya kondondo mtu mokupatesha muno gono kuita pe ucha dondo ko chwana chobara eto shitambi ya tiro hebiru koro okieto ria meto ndutambo ko huna pare andaku kasharo chwana shwando lombande nako mbaro shitambi shiata nako traekwa ugo kuja bafoma chama beshali teteka tukatie wakaendu ko ngana mtu akupita ko nuna iba kutoka mawesha twakupitha etuitha na shiba paka nale tuitha na mtu tunaika ya makutu kana kiaja mundu wako wewe swali nini awija no mamo ngeta mbono mipira jaro ngana nyi onu moja ikane ndondo ndaki shinene tokuri no beto
Kuhepa mgea na mwenye na pande kwa kuhepa. Yeah, kuhepa. Gunda tu Njomba Raika Hame, while we are waiting for the chiefs to take their seats, Mr. Merero, please be on standby for the vote of thanks. It's really been a very long day, and we are really will say to us.